Mills.
Yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Spencer.
Yes.
Council Chase.
Yes.
Council Mojay.
Yes.
Council McEachern.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. We are now out of non-public.
I'd also like to make a motion to seal the minutes indefinitely because divulgence of this information likely would affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board.
Second that.
Okay, motion and second to seal the minutes indefinitely. Council Mills.
Yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
Council Chase.
Yes.
Council Mojay.
Yes.
Council McEachern.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Minutes are sealed. Good evening. Welcome to the DerryCAM Council meeting for Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. Council Spencer, please lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. For those in attendance, please silence your cell phone. If it's an emergency, exit in the back of the room. If you need assistance, Chief Yoli will be glad to help you in the front row. Roll call. Council Mills.
Good evening.
Council Webb.
Good evening.
Council Spencer.
Good evening.
Councilor Chase.
Good evening.
Council Mojay.
Good evening.
Council McEachern.
Good evening.
And good evening from the chair. And Mr. Fowler.
Good evening.
And Madam Clerk filling in. Good evening. Do we have a motion?
Motion to open public forum?
Second.
We have a motion on public forum and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public forum is now open. If you wish to speak, come up and state your name and address for the record. All right, come on up.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
My name is Greg Boyko. I've been a resident of the neighbor of Derry since 1983. I moved to Jewel Lane as a single guy with no money, no nothing. I was nervous as, pardon my French, hell, that I'd be able to afford to live here. I'm concerned about what's going on at the end of Jewel Lane now. I want to state that I am not opposed to the building that's going on there, not one bit. I have spoken in favor of it and on a couple occasions in this very building. But what's concerning me now, living there, is I can't think of the right terminology, but a lack of carelessness. Now, I'm not trying to blow my horn, but my neighbor and I and a few other people in the neighborhood, we take care of that cul-de-sac. The town doesn't do nothing. We don't ask for nothing either. We don't want anything. But what concerns me is there's a lack of consideration for the people that have lived there since a long, long time. Now, I bring a little display today because as I took a little walk around I met one of my neighbors and they found something in the road which it made me want to come here today. Now, I guess that I cannot get an answer today, but I would like to show you something that my neighbor, a woman, found in the road. And I know exactly where it came from, because it's not the first time that I've been picking up rocks in the street. Now you probably say, well, no big deal, but I am the one who likes to mow that cul-de-sac for the little kids. We have a basketball hoop up there, and that's about it. We don't do much up there. But I am the one who takes care of it, while my other neighbors, he fertilizes it. And we're concerned because it's becoming, for lack of a better term, like a dumping ground now. And there's a ton of gravel and dirt and rocks out there all the time now. Now, I'm not saying that it's doing it intentionally, but I am concerned that if I don't bring it up, it won't get addressed. So I'd like to just show you something that my neighbor found in the street today, and tell me if it's a road hazard or not. This is what my neighbor found in the street today. I know her husband because we're the ones who got together we're the ones who got together many years ago and planted all the trees at the entrance of the neighborhood. We have a police officer here tonight. Would that be a road hazard? It would be if a car went over it? Probably break a wheel. Break a wheel. So what I'm asking you to do tonight is to put some signs up in the traffic circle that say no parking and stop what's going on there. Because I wanted to set aside some time, be a little bit more prepared, but when I saw that today, it's not the first time. I have a pile of rocks that I've collected. I don't want to hit them with a lawnmower and hurt some little kid, but I just don't think it's fair that this is not being addressed by the town. And to make it clear, in all the prior meetings at this building, I spoke in favor of the development. I'm not against development, but I want it to be done correctly. I don't want them to be lackadaisical, for lack of a better term. I don't know how to describe it, but it's basically not right. I don't think it's right. So I'm just asking you guys to instruct the town hall to put up signs at the cul-de-sac, no parking at all, not even for a minute. Don't even think about it. Just, it'll send out a message that we care what goes on in that neighborhood. We do. I'm sorry that I can't talk really well now because I had a stroke a couple years ago, so it limits my ability to speak. So I'm just asking for your consideration to do this. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you. I'll connect with you offline, and
Okay.
I'll tell you the process.
This all came up today, this morning.
Yep.
You know,
There's a process but I'll meet up with you offline, and
I know the person who's developing the land. He seems like a really nice guy. I have no problems with them building on the land.
Okay.
But I do want them to take care of the people that live on that street and the neighbors. That's all we care about. They're going to be our new neighbors. I don't want to start out on the wrong foot.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chair, this is Owen Provencher coming to you remotely. I wanted to bring to your awareness that we do have some attendees that have joined us via phone, and we may want to take this opportunity to remind them that if they wish to raise their hand, they would do so by pressing *9.
Okay, so
The voice from above. I was looking this very well.
you heard the wizard. If you're attending remotely and you wanted to speak, press *9, and that will raise your hand to indicate that you wish to speak. And I don't know where the curtain is, but all right, welcome. Good evening.
Good evening. Brian Churchiallo, 6 Rollins Street. First off, I want to say that I saw that the tax rate was going to go up 30 cents, which is pretty good in our town. But have a little bit of caution because the school was talking about a 10.88% increase for next year. So we have our work cut out for us. I'm here for 2 reasons. Number one, and I know it's early in the budget season, but I'm concerned about code enforcement office. There's 2 people in that office. There has been for a long time. We were very fortunate to have Bob Mackey, who had many years of experience working in a 2-person office, but now we have somebody new. I personally don't really see that as fair working. I mean, that's tough. So I would like to see some discussion about hiring another person in code enforcement. I'm not asking for an extra employee in the town. I think you could repurpose somewhere, maybe an unfilled position. We always have those somewhere in the town. Repurpose that and get somebody in code enforcement because I think with all the housing bills that have passed, she's going to be quite busy. So that's number one. Number two, I was quite curious as to listening to the town of Londonderry with the senior exemptions. Many of you know that I've talked about the senior exemptions. That we needed to do something. Unfortunately, nothing was done last year, maybe because of a tight budget. But so Derry, for the 65 to 74-year-olds, the first tier is they subtract $80,000 of assessed value. For 75 to 79 years, it's $125,000 off the assessed value, and then 80 plus, it's $165,000. Londonderry's is for 65 to 74, $205,000 versus a Derry 80. 75 to 79, Londonderry's is 265,000. They subtract that off the assessed value. Ours is 125. And Londonderry for 80 plus is 350,000, while Derry's is 165,000. I'm not saying that we have to match Londonderry's, but I think we need to do something to help the seniors, because they, a lot of them are on Social Security. They got a cost of living increase of about 2.5%, and with taxes going up everywhere and high prices, it's harder and harder for our seniors to manage. The other thing is the requirements to qualify for senior exemption. For a single person, you can't make more than $45,000 in income. For a married couple, it's 55, and you can't have more than $150,000 in assets to qualify. In Londonderry, single is 51,000, married couple is 63,000, and the assessed value limit is 171. So I'm just asking the councils that will be here in March to please take a look at that and see if you can do something. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak from the public? Owen.
Mr. Chair, seeing none, rise online.
Seeing none rise here, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close public forum. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, public forum is now closed. Moving on to the consent agenda. 25-112, approve non-public minutes from November 4th, 2025. Those minutes are sealed. Item 25-113, approve the minutes from November 4th, meeting 2025. Item 25-114, resolution 2025-062, to approve a supplemental appropriation for equipment and to execute a lease purchase agreement with TD Bank. There will be a public hearing on that matter scheduled for December 2nd here in this room. And do we have a motion?
Before the motion, sorry, I do have one edit to the public minutes, the 25-113, for item number 2597, just to make it, it's here, but there's disagreement. The summary underneath said this is the first of two public hearings. It was the second of two public hearings. So if we can just make that edit, then it will read correctly.
Second as changed by...
All right. So we have a motion to accept as amended and a second. Councilor Mills.
Yes.
Councilor Webb.
Yes.
Councilor Spencer.
Yes.
Councilor Chase.
Yes.
Councilor Mojay.
Yes.
Councilor McEachern.
Yes.
And Chair votes yes. Thank you, Councilor Spencer, for catching that. Chair's report. I don't have anything. Mr. Town Administrator.
All right, so for the Town Administrator's report, I'd like to invite Mark Fleischer, CFO, to the dais. He's going to review the fiscal 26 Q1 financial report, and then I will also do a presentation shortly after on the 2025 tax rates. So I'll hand it off to Mark, and Owen, if you're out there, queue up the presentation. If not, we can do that here on the desktop.
Good evening, Mark.
Good evening.
Apparently. Magic.
Okay. So this is the report for September 30th, 2025. September is 25% through the fiscal year. For this discussion, we're going to talk about general fund operational revenues and expenses. Our general fund operations do not include taxes, overlay, TIF, capital, and EMT revenue or expenses. So in the general fund for FY26 through September 30th, our revenues were 55% of budget, and our expenses were 50% of budget. And last year, it was, for the same period, was 19% of budget for revenues and 31% of budget for expenses. In FY26, it's higher than FY25, primarily due to receipt of a transfer of $20,700,000 in bond proceeds in Q1. Also keep in mind that revenues and expenses can run higher due to contractual obligations that are booked for the entire year, and you'll see that further on down the line with some of the expense categories. So for revenues, some of the revenues that exceeded the 25% benchmark, again, as of 9/30, at 25% of the fiscal year is over. In fire, we have receipt of contracted ambulance and dispatch services. Also, their fire permit and ambulance revenues are trending above budget. In tax, their motor vehicle registrations were 28.5% of budget. And again, recent transactions continue to include higher-end vehicles, steady volume in private sales and title applications, as well as model year 2026 registrations. Overall, motor vehicle revenue is $15,765 higher than a year ago. In IT, that we have intergovernmental revenue from cable, water, and wastewater. In assessing, the timber tax is 72.9% of budget. In OMO, our interest revenue is 57.7% of budget. Town clerk, marriage licenses and vital records are 35% of budget, and the civil forfeiture revenue is 114% of budget. In planning applications are 64.2% of budget, and in code, our building permits are 30% of budget. Some of the revenues that are tracking below the 25% benchmark. In administration, we have business license revenue at 4.5% of budget. In health, we have our permit revenue at 20.4% of budget, but most activity for that category happens in the third and fourth quarter. For police, the annual SRO billing will be processed in quarter 4. Human services, repayments of assistance is only 1.4%. In town clerk, dog license revenue is 12.7% of budget, but again, most activity for that category is in quarter 3 and 4. For cemetery, our burial fees are 20.9% of budget, and there'll be a transfer from the cemetery trust happening in quarter 2, along with transfers from the Alexander Carr and McGregor Trust in quarter 2 for recreation, and the Alexander Carr Trust transfer in quarter 2 for parks. In highway, our inspection fees are 17.7% of budget. On the expense side, departments are trending individually between 16% and 74% of budget. In the first quarter, some of the expenses that are trending better than 25%. In fire, we have vacant positions, 5 paramedics/firefighters. In police, we have 5 patrolmen and 1 part-time vacancy. And the SRO expenses are 14% of budget. In OMO, earned time buyouts with roll-ups is only 7.4% of budget, so perhaps our retirements are leveling off for the moment, which is good. Some expenses that exceed the 25%. In fire, overtime is 35.3% of budget, and that is offsetting due to vacancies. In town clerk, our postage is 125.6% of budget. There was a state-required mailing in quarter 1, but the revenue that we've received in civil forfeiture is more than offsets that postage. In IT, annual software support payments were processed. In assessing, the annual assessing contract are encumbered. And human services, the annual agency payments were encumbered. In highway, annual roadway maintenance and road salt is encumbered. And in transfer station, the annual contracted services are encumbered. Finally, other information. The town's average general fund interest rate was 3.82% for September 2025. The September 2024 average interest rate was 4.44%. We are experiencing a reduction in investment yields. The general fund interest revenue, was $83,632 behind for quarter 1 FY25 versus quarter 1 FY24. Our cash balance from operations was $62.3 million at September 30th, 2025 versus $62.5 million at September 30th, 2024. We're coming into a decent cash flow season now, so we'll be making the treasurer will be making additional investments to hopefully get some of that $83,000 back. Any questions?
Anybody?
Nope, very straightforward. Good job as usual.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate all your efforts, Mark.
Okay, and so now I'd like to go into a presentation on the tax rate. So as everybody is aware, this is the season in which the 2025 tax rate has been set. The bills have been printed, and there's been a due date of December 22nd, 2025. So residents should be able to go online shortly. I don't believe that was up and running today, but it should be fixed so that you can see your own individual tax bill. So what I wanted to do today was just kind of go through the different components of that, and if there's any questions at the end, certainly can answer those. So, all right, so Derry's tax rate, and hit the rate. So this is what we're looking at. For the four components, the Department of Revenue Administration has approved our rate. The town rate is $5.39. That's a 14-cent increase, or 2.66%. I'll talk a little bit later about what the difference between the actual rate and the allowed rate under our CPI calculation, but I'll save that for a later slide. The county was up 3 cents, and that's a 5% increase, but that's a relatively small number, so that's somewhat deceiving. The local school, that is up 14 cents, 1.19, and then the state school is down a penny, and that's a small decrease. So when you blend those and add those all together, that shows $18.99. That's up 30 cents from last year's rate, but on an order of magnitude, that's 1.61%, which is pretty good compared to what you're seeing across the state in many of the other municipalities. All right, next slide. So as mentioned, the tax rate's a result of the sum of taxes raised by town council for municipal services, taxes raised by the school district for school services, and then taxes raised by the county delegation. So when you add that up, all the funds that need to be raised after revenues, you then divide that by the total valuation as determined by DRA and our assessing department, and that's how we arrive at the four rates that had been shown on the previous slide. Next slide. Yeah. So I do want to stress for 2025, this is not a revaluation year. So in past years, we've had certain circumstances where somebody would see, wow, the tax rate only went up 3%, but how come my tax bill went up 15%? And sometimes they get caught in that situation where if a certain classification of residential or commercial or industrial was adjusted to meet current market conditions, that made the situation not work necessarily in their favor. But for this year, 2025, it's not a revaluation year. So essentially what you saw last year for your evaluation, unless you did some form of a change to your property, such as a renovation or an addition, that would probably be one of the only reasons that you'd see a difference in your valuation. When we went through the fiscal 26 budget process, it was assumed the new value of new buildings that would be brought to town was of $20 million. There's some good news embedded within that. When the final assessment was put together, there's $55 million of new assessments. So that's a positive sign for the community. That's almost 1% over 2024. So that's a manifestation of some of the building projects that you're seeing or have been seeing passing through our planning department and also the code enforcement division. So I think there's still a wave to come. Now, the downside to this a little bit is when we went through the tax rate calculation, we had projected a maximum of $5.43, but when you have the added valuation, that brings that number down to $5.39. So the actual increase is about 1% less than what is permitted by the tax cap. So that's going to be a lower rate than what had been approved at the town council, but this is the way that the calculation moves forward. So next slide, please. So as I had mentioned before, the maximum allowable tax rate was determined by the 2024 CPI, and that was 3.5%. Just to show that calculation again, the tax rate in 2024 was $5.25. We could have gone as high as $5.43, but when we calculated in all the new construction, that number became $5.39. So when we go through the planning process and we see some of these items where we're seeing good development, we're seeing some new things come to town, this is a mechanism by which we can stabilize the tax rate. So all these, projects that you're seeing that may be causing some, concerns in the community about rampant growth, there is a plus to this in that you are seeing some tax relief as a result of that. Next slide. want to talk a little bit about the school district. So school district has a completely different governmental structure. They have their annual budget that's underway right now for the next year. There will be a deliberative session in late January, and then when we go to vote in March, there is a default budget, and any other warrant articles are included in this. So that's known as the SB2 process. So their process is much different than what we employ here. Our budget is done through the town council, and it's voted on in May. So for the school district, their tax rate last year was $11.70. Their actual ended up being $11.84, so it's only up 1.2%. Next slide. I do want to provide a little bit of a perspective of the difference between the town has the tax cap, which has been in effect for a very long time. The school district rates can fluctuate based on certain items that are within and voted on by the voters and or new warrant articles. So if you go back to 2006, again, don't look at the relative numbers in terms of where we were then, where we are now. The valuations are completely different. But I do want to show the relative share of the tax rate between town and school. Back in 2006, the town rate was exactly a third, 33%. The school rate was about 50% of that total rate. If you flip forward over the course of 20 budgets, the town's rate now has diminished to about 28% of that share, which means essentially because the town rate has been constrained by that tax cap, you're only seeing, sometimes there were years we were well under 2% as an allowed increase. The school rate as part of that proportional share is up to 62%. So just showing that difference between how that goes. So just a couple of final takeaways. So tax rate, 2.66% over last year for the town side. We will be starting the fiscal 27 budget cycle, and we're looking towards a CPIU for the town side of between 3.1 and 3.2%. So that number will be finalized in early January for the trailing year of 2025. I will distribute that information once that's known. But as with everything else, when you have a fixed tax cap, you're always under some pressure. And obvious one of the large ones that's facing us right now is employee health insurance costs. We just received a couple of weeks ago notification that we would be up 27% over last year's rate. So that's a pretty significant chunk of money that we're going to have to navigate through. And then obviously we're in the process of negotiating 5 collective bargaining agreements that expire June 30th, 2026. So, there are some challenges ahead for the town side. New valuation through development has been positive, and it may give us some opportunity for some relief. But one of the things that I'll be digging into a little bit deeper is looking at a more proper estimate of what the construction will be looking like for 2026. And I'm thinking that number is going to be more like $40 to $60 million in terms of the new valuations we'd see a year from now. And then one last item, obviously the town has its own budget. The school district is in the process of that budget, and I would urge people in the public to take a look at what they're doing at this point in terms of their process and what's being proposed for fiscal 26 and the potential impacts of that. So that's all online. If you have questions relative to the town budget, please feel free to reach out to us either through the website or contact us at 432-6100. If there's questions specific to school, that obviously should be taken up with the school district SAU 10. That's 432-1210, I believe is the phone number there. So with that, that's my presentation on the tax rate. And like I said, the bills will be hitting the mail very shortly if they haven't already. Any questions with that?
Nope. Pretty straightforward.
Thank you. And that's all I have for the town administrator's report.
Great. Do you want to mention Abbott Court?
Oh, sure. So we had a gathering on, it was November 12th down at the Abbott Court parking garage. So it was a groundbreaking. We had representatives from Harvey Construction, several town councilors, past and current, staff members, and dignitaries from LMG and otherwise. So we're able to kick off and have a groundbreaking ceremony. There'll be some activity on the site in December, likely to start some of the excavation work in preparation for foundations. There's precast slabs that are being worked on off-site in Connecticut. So there'll be some work going on at that site for the parking garage over the winter, and then I'd really expect some visuals in April, May, June. We're going to start to see some vertical building on that. So it's an exciting project for the town. Obviously, we're a partner with LMG on the parking garage side, and then they'll be also working on some of their apartment construction in concert with some of the work at the parking garage. So we're expecting this project to take about 18 months, but we had a great kickoff and a lot of publicity on that. So big step forward. Again, another development project that the town's looking to move forward and bring forward.
Thank you. I only asked you because I forgot to mention it during the chair's report.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
any questions to the town administrator? Nope. Typically not, but we'll indulge you.
I was just wondering where that parking garage is being built.
Sure, I can answer that. So it's almost directly across Broadway from here. So if you're familiar with Sabatino's restaurant,
Yeah.
so down in the lower, it's about maybe 20 feet lower than rail trail drops down. That's a parking lot, and then a vacant lot. That's where a parking garage and 117 apartment units will be under construction shortly.
Thank you.
Great.
Sorry for the...
No,
Yeah.
it's all good. Thank you. All right, moving on. Public hearings. 25-109, ordinance 2025-006 to amend the zoning ordinance section 165. Planning Director Elizabeth Robidoux. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, councilors, Mr. Fowler. We're going to start with the legislative changes, and please let me know if you can't hear me, because sometimes I talk a little soft. The Planning Board has been discussing zoning changes to bring town regulations into compliance with the legislative changes resulting from the 2025 session. State bills that affected the zoning ordinance included HB 577, which was related to accessory dwelling units, SB 284 regarding on-site parking, HB 296, which spoke to zoning board appeal timelines, and HB 631, which is permitting multifamily in commercial districts. The planning board drafted changes to comply with the legislation that's currently in effect. The regulations relating to accessory dwelling units include increased living area, revised definitions. It increases the number of dwelling units permitted per lot to allow for detached ADUs. Right now, we only allow one dwelling unit per lot unless you're a multifamily. It addressed setback requirements and how an attached ADU connected to the primary dwelling unit. The language also limited the number of ADUs permitted per lot, so if you have a single-family residential, you can have one ADU. Required parking spaces limits for manufactured housing parks and multifamily dwellings in the TBOD have been updated, as well as the time limit to appeal a ZBA decision, which has gone up to 30 days. The board also opted to preemptively draft regulations to comply with House Bill 631, which was the multifamily housing and commercial districts. That technically goes into effect on July 1st of 2026. Those changes would apply to general commercial, office medical business, and industrial 2 districts. The change to add multifamily to the industrial 2 district is actually being taken care of in the gateway changes, which we'll discuss later. Fiscal impact really would just be additional revenue generated by building permit applications and new constructions in the districts. And we would recommend that you approve the revisions to the ordinance as approved by the, or recommended by the Planning Board on October 15th. I'm happy to answer any questions about the proposed changes. All the information is in your packets.
I was going to make a motion.
on the public hearing.
I'll second.
All right. We have no,
Jumped the gun there.
we have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. Counsel Mills.
Yes.
Counsel Webb.
Yes.
Counsel Spencer.
Yes.
Counsel Chase.
Yes.
Counsel Mojay.
Yes.
Counsel McEachern.
Yes.
And Chair votes yes. The public hearing is now open in this matter. If you wish to ask any questions or speak on this, come up and state your name. And if you're on Zoom or by phone, *9.
Mr. Owen, can the voice from above tell us if there's anybody online?
Mr. Chair, seeing none rise at this time. Actually, as we speak, one moment, we do have a caller with the phone number ending in 772. If we could have them identify themselves, we can bring them in.
All right. Caller 772, you're on. State your name and address, please. Hello?
Mr. Chair, they are available to talk.
Steve,
To unmute by...
713 North Shore Road.
Go ahead.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot. It goes by quick for all you young guys. It's coming quick. The terrible thing. I just have really one question on this one. I have a lot more to say on the next one, but on this one, I know it's for the, housing in now the commercial areas. Does that, I'm just a question for Liz, I guess, does that include the industrial areas too? If she could elaborate on that. I know it's not here, but I think it does.
We are, the planning board did include allowing multifamily dwelling units in the industrial 2 district, and I can get into that a little bit later, but to go over it, it would be multifamily, and you are, we're permitting 25% of the building to be commercial. At least 25% of the building needs to be commercial in the commercial or industrial districts. And we're not limiting that to the first floor, as some municipalities are. The Derry Planning Board opted to allow that to be anywhere throughout the building, which allows for flexibility for adaptive reuse of buildings.
Thanks, Liz. I'm just looking at the vote, I guess, going to the council, and it just shows traditional business, general commercial, office, medical, and I didn't see industrial. So, but you've confirmed that it's there too. So I was just curious. That's all.
Yeah, because that's in the industrial, that's in the gateway portion of the changes. And it's also for the compliance with HB 631, it's by conditional use permit. So you need to be able to prove that there's adequate water and sewer to accommodate the project.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, hearing no one else online, unless the wizard tells me, and seeing no one else jumping aboard here, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing on this. Councilor Mills?
Yes.
Councilor Webb?
Yes.
Councilor Spencer?
Yes.
Councilor Chase?
Yes.
Councilor Mojay?
Yes.
Councilor McEachern?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Public hearing is now closed. Councilors, any questions? Councilor Webb?
I just have one question. I know this is, the changes are based on what the legislature and the governor have passed. If the governor and legislature had not passed these bills, would the planning board have moved in those directions anyways?
I want to say that with regard to accessory dwelling units, there may have been some changes, especially with regard to the, how it's connected to the accessory dwelling unit is connected to the home. In looking at some of the other ones, on-site parking, we probably would not have touched. The state has reduced the permitted or required number of parking spaces down to 1 per unit. We originally had it at 1.5 per bedroom. So what this essentially does is if you have a 24-unit building, you only need to have 24 parking spaces. If the dwelling units in there have 2 bedrooms, and you've got, it doesn't math out right as far as parking. So
you could have a situation
probably
in
wouldn't
parking,
have touched it. Yeah,
like what we see in Princeton Meadows, where it often overflows onto the public street, creating problems. And
yes. Yeah. Now, these changes, it's not to say many of the savvy developers are aware that, especially for multifamily, that their residents want more than 1 parking space per unit, and they will accommodate for it. I know by personal experience with some of my kids, they're purposely looking for apartments that have extra parking.
Yeah, because your typical, even your one-bedroom apartment for a young couple is still a two-car apartment.
Yeah.
As they're both working.
Right, but we need to follow, we need to follow state law, and I think, we have it in our regulation, we're compliant.
Right.
And I think that, as time moves forward and we start looking, they start seeing the effects of some of the limited parking, I think, the pendulum might swing the other way. But we're compliant, and then developers have the opportunity to provide extra.
Yeah. No, I understand that we have to be compliant with state law. I just have, I think some of these laws represent a significant overreach by the legislature and governor on local control. So, sorry.
All right, anyone else?
Seeing nothing, I'll be happy to read the resolution.
And I will say, to your point, Council Webb, I know there's going to be some legislation coming up trying to rescind some of them. So, okay.
All set? Ordinance number 2025-006, amend zoning ordinances, Chapter 165. Whereas Section 5.1 of the Town Charter designates the Town Council as the governing and legislative body of the town, and pursuant to Section 6.1, the council shall legislate by ordinance, and whereas the New Hampshire State Legislature recently enacted changes which require amendments to the town zoning ordinance, and whereas these recommended changes would allow the town zoning ordinances with the state statutes regarding Article 2, Section 165.5, definitions, Article 3, Section 165.8, number of buildings per lot, Section 165.25, accessory dwelling units, Article 4, Section 165.38, manufactured housing park district, Section 165.49, traditional business overlay district, Article 15, Section 165.125, appeals, and Article 6, Section 165.32, general commercial, and 165.35, office medical building district, and whereas the planning board has voted to adopt these changes at their October 15th, 2025 meeting, and now therefore the town of Derry ordains that the Derry zoning ordinance is hereby amended as follows. To amend Article 2, Section 165.5 definitions, Article 3, Section 165.8, number of buildings per lot, Article 3, Section 165.25, accessory dwelling units, Article 4, Section 165.38, manufactured housing park district, Article 4, Section 165.49, traditional business overlay district, Article 15, Section 165.125, appeals, Article 6, Section 165.32, general commercial, Article 6, Section 165.35, office medical. The ordinance shall take effect 30 days within its adoption.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. Council Mills.
Yes, please.
Council Webb.
No.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
Symbolic, but.
Council Chase.
Yes.
Council Mojay.
Reluctantly, yes.
Council McEachern.
Yes.
I share your sentiments, but I'm going to vote yes. Motion passes 6-1.
Thank you.
Moving on to 25-110, ordinance 2025-007, to amend the zoning ordinance section 165, the Gateway District. Again, Ms. Robidoux.
So the planning board has been discussing amendments to revise zoning in the area known as the Gateway District since late 1924. And Councilor McEachern will remember many years ago us starting to look at that district. Goal 3 of the 2020 master plan is to address the opportunities and challenges posed by the new gateway along Exit 4A. And the two objectives aligned with this goal are to create a vision and a plan for the area and to support development and redevelopment. The creation of the neighborhood commercial district and the realignment of properties to create the industrial 2 district meet these goals and objectives. Next slide, please. The board created a committee made up of members of the board and municipal staff with the purpose of drafting zoning amendments to meet these initiatives. The Gateway Committee met 31 times between October 15th of '24 and August 14th of '25. The committee meetings were open to the public, and various stakeholders in the district did attend. The 3 visioning sessions were held in January in 2025, one on January 6th, one on February 10th, and one February 24th, to obtain input from stakeholders and property owners in the areas being discussed. Next slide, please. A 4th session, facilitated and assisted by Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission, was held to present consolidated information to the stakeholders and the property owners, and the attendees were invited to provide more focused input through visual preference surveys, which you can see that on the April 30th tab there. And the topics that they were asked to provide input on were commercial and industrial character, mixed-use development, residential character, and getting around the district. A visioning report and presentation by the Gateway Committee was provided to the Planning Board on June 4th of *25. And following this session, the committee was tasked with drafting the language for the zoning amendments. The board met as a whole and discussed language at 2 workshops, one August 6th and one on September 17th. And the proposed language, along with the proposed changes to the zoning map, are before the council this evening. All landowners who own property affected by these changes were notified of the planning board public hearing via certified mail. Next slide, please. Several abutters did contact the planning office with questions relating to how the changes would affect their existing residential properties. One landowner requested the board consider retaining auto sales as a permitted use in the industrial 2. His alternative suggestion was to retain the GC zoning for the frontage lots located on the north side of Folsom from the police station to the intersection of Folsom and Franklin Street Extension. A resident in the proposed industrial 2 who resides on Ash Street Extension has really specific concerns regarding his property and the proposed changes. His email is attached to the staff report. The next slide, please. Oh, you're already there, thanks. The planning board, after discussion, retained the proposed industrial 2 zoning as presented. The purpose of the amendments is to allow for the best and highest use of properties and to spur economic development in the Gateway District. Fiscally, the town would hope to see reinvestment in the vicinity of new Exit 4A, which would generate new and additional revenues and hopefully new employment opportunities. Recommendation would be to approve the revisions as presented and recommended by the Planning Board at their meeting of October 15th. I'm happy to answer any questions about our process or the proposed changes, and Chairman Nelson is also here to answer any questions as required.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to open public hearing. On the motion, Counsel Mills.
Yes, please.
Counsel Webb.
Yes.
Counsel Spencer.
Yes.
Counsel Chase.
Yes.
Counsel Mojay.
Yes.
Counsel McEachern.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Public hearing is now open in this matter. If you wish to speak, come up, state your name and address for the record. And we have some people come up. And if you're at home, *9. Good evening.
Good evening, councilors, Mr. Fowler, Madam Clerk, Tom Carden, 2 Cunningham Drive. I attended the sessions that the planning board had concerning the Gateway District, and there were a lot of people that showed up at all those meetings, and pretty much everybody that attended all those meetings wanted everything pretty much to stay the same. And the planning board kind of tweaked the north side to have it a residential commercial district, and I thought that was pretty good. I think they did a pretty good job with that. But the other side, the north side, the commercial district, I think that needs to stay the same. There's a couple of things. I looked at some of the changes for industrial use. I'm not going to read all of them, but one of the uses is a truck terminal, facility for transfer of merchandise and repair, maintenance, and servicing of tractor-trailer trucks used for transportation. Building material storage lot, an area or lot used to stockpile and warehouse inventory for construction purposes and facilitate the distribution of inventory. These premises may require loading docks and business offices. Freight trucking terminal, any premise used for motor freight as carrier goods, which the origin or destination point of goods being transported. Fuel and storage tanks, the storage of chemicals, petroleum products, or hazardous material in above ground or below ground containers designed for wholesale distribution. And my favorite is sand and gravel pit. Hopefully, we will not be seeing any sand and gravel pits over there. It's called the Gateway District for a good reason, because we want something that's going to show a good presentation for people taking that exit 4A and say, okay, wow, this is the gateway to Derry. This looks great. And I know probably another 10 years or so down the road, they're going to be building a new police station, obviously probably somewhere else. So you want to be able to put some good commercial retail businesses in there, and I'd hate to see all this stuff that's going to be in industrial, and I really hope the council keeps the general commercial the same. And also, Mr. Trefethan, since he is not here, he wanted me to read this letter out loud, so it's part of the record. Okay with that? Okay, good. All right. I told him. What?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Okay. My name is Steve Trefethan. I own a home at 13 North Shore Road, Derry. I have real estate business in downtown Derry. I have also built and developed property in Derry. I do own large lots on Folsom and 2 large lots on High Street at the exit 4A corridor. There are many issues eliminating the general commercial zone into a new industrial 2. Former town councilor Dave Granisi stated at one of his last meetings, we need to leave the GC zone on Folsom alone and work with what comes along. It creates bigger opportunity for different development. There's no reason to change to an industrial 2 with the exception of removing the auto sales, which I am the only one that use. Many uses added to industrial 2 will not work for Folsom Road. Moving the north side of Folsom Road, Industrial 2 zone allows auto repair and auto sales. By its own nature, auto repairs is always allowed sales of cars when the garages are not paid for their services. The planning department recommended removing car sales after some residents across the street spoke about not allowing a car lot on my land. My auto sales is grandfathered in and be enlarged according to my engineer. Last week when I visited with my engineer, he thought the industrial 2 benefits me, and he's absolutely right, it does. I can now build cheaper metal industrial buildings, bring in heavy users to include outside storage, even large outside storage tanks. The new industrial 2 zone allows me reduced parking requirements. Being an industrial has less visitors and employees. Look at Ashley Drive, approved 400,000 square feet building with under 50 employees at this point. Industrial allows for heavy uses, not just needed parking or bring in economic development. If 2 is approved, will allow the use on Folsom Road like commercial service establishments, contractor yard, equipment upfill, filling station, fuel and storage tanks, not allowed in general commercial. Industrial establishment, professional offices, restaurants, small for me, retail establishments, and warehouses. Multifamily would work financially at 4 to 5 stories with the new reduced parking requirements. Do we really need large apartment buildings on Folsom? And I think that's probably addressed by the new regulations by the state, so they can put them in there. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. I have many customers ready to go to bring these higher rental uses like heavy equipment, uplift, fuel and storage yards, large equipment, upfit, and industrial uses. These uses bring me more rental income and cost me less to build. Does Derry really want to use this as the main road of coming off of exit 4A? And he just echoes what I just said. We want something that's going to look good over there. There are 10 lots on Folsom. Planning want to remove from the GC zone and include in the industrial 2. I have attached a map with watersheds taking half of the first 4 lots, the first 2 lots, my lots, and the next 2 lots, excess land lots and drainage canal, and now a state access road. The starting at Franklin Street going toward the police department show a few lots that will go there, that will go to Stanton on the other side of the drainage canal, and then the 2 lots, 63 and 64, with drainage canal, included New Hampshire DOT access road to the watershed, would be difficult to develop on their own, not usable or big enough to turn around in. The 2 lots would make a good addition to my lots for retail, restaurant, cafe center. The planning board has made it clear that moving the GC zone on Folsom Road into Industrial 2 eliminates my car lot. With the right to discontinue my car lot business after a year of non-use, none of the other lots on Folsom are able to bring the large car lot to Folsom. This zone change would be directed at my land. The planning board has stated their concerns of car lots at previous meetings. The planning board has other options to overlay the GC zone without eliminating my car lot as conforming use, having the best of 2 worlds. There are 2 reasonable changes available, but leaving the GC alone would eliminate what looks like an inverse condemnation taken of my right to property. I have been working with the Gateway Committee and Planning Zone on zoning changes. The decision to go back down a road that might affect only me seems like a dog chasing his tail. The planning board has other options to allow me to keep conforming car sales if needed, with the right to use my property as always in the GC zone. In New Hampshire law, the Penn Central test is used to determine if government regulations continue regulatory task taking in an inverse condemnation case. The test analyzes 3 factors: the economic impact of the property, the degree to which the regulations interferes with the owner's distinct investment-backed expectations, and the character of the government's action. The framework applies when a government action, rather than formal eminent domain proceedings, has effectively taken or damaged private property for public use. For the record, this change will reduce my value of my property. It changes the reason I bought the property, and an existing established car lot able to grow, and it's physical invasion of a regulation that goes too far. The planning board did have Laconia Road properties moved into Industrial 2 with the north side of Folsom Road. When the owners complained about the planning board moved Laconia Road back to general commercial. The reality is many experienced people, including the town council at the time, recommended the planning board leave Folsom Road GC alone. None of the new changes in Industrial 2 even fit with the Folsom Road lot. The planning board has options to further complicate the timing of the requested zone changes on Folsom Road, are undermined highway easement, the unknown access land entrance onto Folsom Road, and many other unforeseen issues that will come forth as the road is completed. The owners on the north side of Folsom Road are unable to see or react to zoning change without knowing where they stand at the end of the day. For this reason alone, the planning board must leave Folsom alone as GC until the highway is completed and the actual property lines and excess land can be determined. Planning could always bring the zone request to the future. There's no reason to rush to change all the uses that are already in place in the general commercial zone. I understand the process of the Gateway Committee and the meeting, which I participated in over 50% of the time. I'm open to working with the planning board, and that protects my building and livelihood, while we all seek building that brings pleasant and inviting looks into Derry's Gateway. An industrial zone does not belong on the face of that main road. He's absolutely right. The planning board voted to change GC 10 small lots with 3 owners fronting Folsom Road and north side zone to a new industrial 2 zone to consolidate into industrial 4 zone. There are no use benefits for dairy removing the GC zone to Folsom. The planning board previously changed all the lots on Franconia Road back to GC and need to do so with the other 10 lots north of Folsom. My request is to the town council does not approve the changes or make big decisions like this in one meeting. When Councilor Chase asked at a planning board meeting if they were in a rush to make the change, he stated we had until 2028. If we end up with some unsightly uses allowed in industrial 2 zone right on Folsom, that would not be a great look for dairy. All I'm asking is town council slow this process down and take a close look for what they're approving. We have lots of time to get this right. Thanks, Steve Trefethan. For the record, I'm going to work with the town and try to have some vision for my previous plans and ideas. It is getting more and more difficult with land taken and zone change. Thanks, Steve Trefethan. I am on my 40th anniversary. Happy anniversary, Stevie, wherever you are. And I want to thank the council for their indulgence in this. I did ask him for keeping under a page and hoping for 2, but it was 3, so thank you.
Okay, anybody else wish to speak?
Owen, I'm assuming no one else is online?
Mr. Chair, we do have a hand raised again. We'll allow them to speak. Here we go. They're available to speak at this time.
Okay, state your name and address for the record.
Steve Trefethan, 13 North Shore. Can you hear me okay?
Yep. Do you have anything
good.
to add to what was just read?
I do, yeah. I'm glad he read that in. It would have been difficult from where I'm at. I have some items to add in. So in the zoning amendment here that you read, that somebody read into the record, 25-110, I just want to say a couple things. So the plan, there's a statement in there, second page towards the end, right before fiscal impact. The planning board, after discussion, retained the proposed industrial 2 zoning as presented. The proposed of the zoning amendments to allow the best and highest use of properties to spur economic development. So that's a nice statement, but it just doesn't fit here. I do an industrial over there. You're going to have, bigger buildings or maybe outside storage. They're not bringing in customers or making people want to come into Derry with industrial right at the face of the road. That statement, as far as I'm concerned, shouldn't be here, or at least general commercial. On another portion of that where they read they met 31 times, because I know you're going to hear that they did a lot of work and all that good stuff. But the reality of it is that they did meet 31 times, but that was with a lot of residential users. The town council back a while ago picked American Excavating Tom Lannon to be, represent some of the commercial users, the owners on that side of the road. And I think by statute or by rule, you have to have representation from each one of those zones. But I'm not sure he even knew about it. He never showed up for one meeting. I don't even think he knew about it. And I asked to get on that. I wasn't picked for that, and that's okay. I attended probably 70% of the meetings, I'm going to guess, over the phone. And really, for the first 20 or so, I wasn't even allowed to speak. I'm not a member of the committee, which is fine. I listened in and, heard what everybody had to say. I did go to all of the meetings, basically, where we met in public. And then, of course, I got to speak a little bit after Mr. Nelson joined on. And thanks to Danny, I was told I couldn't speak at one of the meetings, but Danny allowed me to speak because he noticed I was on all the meetings. I should have been able to speak a lot more, and I just want that on the record. And then I just want to put on the record that statement, the purpose of the zoning amendments is to allow the best and highest use of properties and to spur economic development. And there's nobody in that planning committee or anybody else on any of those committees that can point to anything in the industrial area that's going to fit on those lots that's going to bring economic development, or it's going to make it a little bit worse. I'll just say a few things. I'm glad Tom read that in the record for me. Thank you, Tom. I'll just say a couple more things. So the planning board can move the commercial, general commercial into the industrial 2 zone. However, they took it out in Folsom when a few of the people came in and complained, and I spoke to them because I put some of those users there. But when I spoke about not doing that on the north side of Folsom, all I got was, they're doing it now. So I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's right, and I don't like the industrial uses there. I don't want to really see it. And I'll just say one more thing. I did meet with my engineer on some other projects we're moving forward with, and we discussed that area in the industrial zone. And he told me, and then he did a quick draft, or one of his engineers did, while I was standing there. It really wasn't on our agenda, but I had the stuff with me. And then he said, look, Steve, how many units you can get over here if it's industrial? You don't need all that parking. So again, if I build a stripped-down industrial building, and again, you got to keep in mind, too, you consolidated the I-4 zone. So when you did that, there were buildings on there, I know, because I was involved in some of the designs way back. There are buildings there that are just a cheaper metal building with metal roofs and certain things. And so it's going to be hard to say, gee, you can't do that in I-2 and, half of I-4 is covered with that type of building. So basically what I can do is I can build a building, at least by this, it's going to cost me about 50% of the amount to build it, and I can recuperate about 85% of the rent versus something else, something like I showed the council. I'd rather put something nice, but I'm really, the biggest thing I'm against on this is what Folsom Road could look like, and High Street, in that whole area right there, we don't have much to work with. So I've said I've been concerned about that, and I just want to let everybody know I'm concerned. I would ask the town council if they're going to adopt this new change. Then I would ask that you leave the general commercial out, and you can do the adoption, just leave the general commercial out so it can be looked at a little bit more and make sure you're getting it right between storage tanks and everything else that you want to have there. I just don't think it's the right look or the right use. So I appreciate you listening to me, and we'll go from there.
Anyone else that hasn't heard wish to speak? Come on up, Mr. Nelson.
And if I could afterwards, I had some additional information to provide that would provide some insight on the planning boards.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Dave Nelson, 72 Old Chester Road. I am also chairman of the planning board and sat through all the planning board workshops and many of the committee meetings. And I respect Mr. Trevethan's concerns. Whenever you change zoning, it's difficult because, like any other piece of legislation, there's always some winners and some losers. I think the best way for the council to think about this is to look at the before map and the after map. Most of that area that's currently industrial 2 was industrial 4. The planning board did consider whether we should have just general commercial on the north side of Folsom instead of creating a new industrial 2 set of uses. The difficulty, of course, is that you can't say, well, it's general commercial here, and it has some uses, but general commercial there has a different set of uses. Whenever we add uses to general commercial, that's everywhere in town where that district exists. And when we create a new district, we got to be careful to not make too many non-conforming uses. There's probably going to be some. And the final consideration is we don't want to do, spot zoning. We don't want to create a whole bunch of small, customized zones. So there were a lot of trade-offs, and not everyone, was probably, happy with the decision we came up with. But we thought about it long and hard, and we thought it was more important to be able to add new uses into this newly constituted industrial 2 district that would be significant assets for the gateway, as opposed to leave it or create it as general commercial and then perhaps have to pull back on some of those uses because we didn't think that a number of those uses were appropriate for the existing general commercial district. So I appreciate everyone's consideration, and I think if you just sort of look at the before and the after, We are limited, and it is true that there's not that many vacant parcels. I think the vision is more for redevelopment as time goes by, especially on the south side of Folsom in the neighborhood commercial, much like what has happened on Birch Street, where private homes have become small businesses. That's the vision for neighborhood commercial, and we think there's some larger scale developments such as hotels that could go in the new industrial too. So I'm happy to answer any questions. The planning board did consider all of the things, and we thought hard about it. And I commend staff. I commend all the people who came to all of the workshops and the visioning sessions. And I hope that you find this acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak?
Mr. Chairman, seeing no one jump to the forefront, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to close public hearing. On the motion, Council Mills.
Yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
Councilor Chase.
Yes.
Councilman Jay.
Yes.
Councilman McEachern.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The public hearing is now closed in this matter. Ms. Robidoux, you wanted to add some stuff?
Yeah, if I could. Owen, could I ask you to put that, that slide up? This is the 4 sessions. When we were looking at the boundaries of the districts and how we were going to look at it, under the January 6th one, the area that's in yellow, that's the area that ended up being the neighborhood commercial district. The Laconia properties that Mr. Trefethan referenced are at the top of that, closer to Crystal, or Crystal. That area, the board wanted to protect. That's a dense residential, older residential neighborhood with it has true neighborhood characteristics. We wanted to protect that as much as possible. And so that's why there's 2 different districts being presented to you. The properties there will be allowed to add some lighter retail commercial uses, but under architectural design regulations, keep the properties looking more residential to maintain that character and make any change that occurs there slow and in keeping with the neighborhood and the feel. So that is one of the reasons why when the property owners who were already zoned general commercial at the top near Crystal, when they asked to be put, to be retained in general commercial, we left them in general commercial. On the other side of the street, the areas that are blue, and then what you see so the February 10th areas and the February 24th areas, those are all industrial districts. The board opted to take those areas in green and move them from industrial 6 into, and there was some MHDR2 properties in there as well, merge them in with those blue areas, which was an existing industrial 4. In the current zoning ordinance, in Industrial 4, permitted uses include things like building material storage yards, fuel storage, that type of use. As Mr. Nelson had said, we did not want to create nonconformities on lots or take away too many uses. What the committee looked at during all of their work sessions was, how can we enhance this area? What can we do to bring development opportunities to the town, uses we don't have that might be able to take advantage of this new corridor? And they looked long and hard at different uses. We had a whole list of things that we went back and forth during those sessions. Yes, no, yes, no. And we added in things like conference centers, the commercial kitchens. So, if another facility like Creative Chef wanted to come in, we'd be able to permit that there. Co-work offices, which, are people are sharing spaces now rather than having whole buildings. Food halls, maker spaces, and things like professional training, tutoring, testing, certification. We have a true need for trades, and we need to provide opportunities for people to, be able to learn the trades, and we wanted to provide an opportunity in that district. We thought that might be a good thing, but also to provide for some of those testing facilities. So the board, when they looked at everything, they kept what they could, took away what they thought was going to be totally unreasonable in those districts, and I think in looking at it, Beverly, our economic development director, was part of all of the committee work sessions, and we talked about what would and would not bring development to the town in jobs. And that's how we came up with the final list. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to point out. I think that's it. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Thank you. Questions?
I have no questions. I just wanted to say thank you very much to Ms. Robideau and the planning board. I think I've been involved with the Exit 4A project for over 20 years myself now. And as far as I can see, they have spent a tremendous amount of time and effort to get this right out of the box. And they've gone to everybody for input. And I have absolutely no problem supporting this resolution. Thank you again.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you. Anyone
Mills.
else? Councilman McEachran?
Yeah, just for clarity's sake, Liz, the yellow area in the, I'm looking at right behind you, good.
Sure.
The January 6th, that's all the housing on what I call like the southern side, right?
Yeah, I call it the city streets.
Right. And the big blue lot right
Those-
above the end,
yeah.
that's the police station lot?
Yeah, the police station lot up at the top,
Upper right,
the car
right,
wash.
right where the arrow is now, that's the police
Yep.
station lot, right?
Yep, and then the car wash, and then
Yep.
Stinson Hills, and then I
That's all right,
believe,
you don't have to
yeah,
go through them all.
all of those.
So
yeah.
that blue is currently industrial.
The frontage lots are actually general commercial at this
Okay.
time.
The couple of frontage ones, all right.
Yes.
And now, so the next map, the middle map, that's the continuation of the first map as we kind of take the sharp curve,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So which one of those lots would be, which is American Excavating?
It's the north side of Madden Road.
So which one's Madden Road? Just like,
Oh.
this is very small to me.
It is really small, and yeah, I don't have the right glasses for
But
that.
it's all
I
in
do
the blue.
apologize.
That's all industrial, right?
Yeah, it is. It's,
Right.
yeah.
And then the February 24th map is some of Madden Road and then going right out to the town line, right?
Correct.
So it's going up the hill where we're seeing all the construction going now,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And that's all still currently industrial, right?
Yes, that's Industrial 4. So Industrial 4 is A and B and Tinkham out to Manchester Road.
So I support a lot of Mr. Mills's contention because I've been here since day one of Exit 4A. And I know you guys do a great job doing this, so I don't have any issues with that. The other thing I think that's critical, and I'd like you to comment on it, is while there are a lot of uses in the industrial zone you're talking about, and Dave mentioned it too, the uses need to have a specific amount of land to hold the use.
They do.
So when people talk about use X as something we may not want, it's only applicable if you have the amount of land to put it on too,
That's correct.
right? So I'm looking at the lots above the yellow right now. Those are all very small lots, and while using the industrial categories, many of those wouldn't be able to be built on any of those lots because they're just too small because of the type of use they have. So when I hear things like, truck storage yards and all that, you're going to get like 2 trucks on that yard. So nobody's going to be building a truck storage facility there unless you combine multiple lots.
Correct. So Old Dominion is not going to come.
I think people need to be
Yeah.
cognizant of that. Yes, they're allowed uses, but they're only going to be allowed unless somebody combines 8, 9, 10 lots, right?
That is correct.
So you got to be cognizant of what can really go in there, and I understand they're allowed. But as we all know in zoning, and I got to be close to 30 years on the zoning board, now, planning board now that I'm not on it, but I'm well over 25 years. These things change all the time too, so there's nothing that would stop the planning board coming back a couple of years from now when they see trends happening, right? We see trends happening all the time. I don't even want to go over how many times we changed zoning in my time on the planning board, because you see the trends happening. So I think this is probably the right use for right now. I'll wait and see what happens, see how Woodmont Orchards develops, across the way and what Londonderry's doing. So again, I just want to make those things clear, because while it is correct, there's a lot of tough uses here that we probably don't want to see. To Dave's point, you don't want to do the spot zoning and make this real small zone that only allows these 7 things.
Correct.
And a lot of those tougher uses, based on what I'm looking at here for the lot sizes and what I know about them, are not going to happen unless somebody starts coupling lots together.
Correct.
So I just want to make that clear to my fellow councilors here, throwing, a couple decades on the planning board and having done this.
Mr. Zoning.
So now I'm going to turn over to Mr. Chase is maybe chomping at the bit to give us the update from your last couple of years there.
No, you're absolutely right. And to Mr. Nelson's comment also, as we were trying to put this together for the uses, we didn't want to make a lot of non-conforming uses, which fuel storage tanks. We already have those in the industrial zone on A Street. So if we eliminate those, now we're making non-conforming uses in there. So we had to take that into consideration. The other thing we took into consideration too is, yes, we did, by the comments of the users on Laconia Ave, they were going to be put not in the industrial 2, they were going to be put in the neighborhood commercial, which would have made their businesses non-conforming. It was easy to leave them in the, looking at it again, as Ms. Robideau said, we did take public comment into consideration. And when we look back at it again, and we're like, we're right. They were right. If we had put them in the neighborhood commercial, now they're all non-conforming. So, and plus Laconia Ave still made a good, solid boundary. So it made sense to leave that set of parcels in the commercial so that they would remain conforming lots. And to yours comments, that's absolutely right. As we looked at those uses, we looked at, okay, so are you going to get X use? Yes, it's allowed. It fits very good on A Street, B Street, anywhere out in there, but is it really going to fit on Folsom Road? Absolutely not. There's no way you're going to get a trucking terminal on. So we took that into consideration. All these things were taken into consideration over all those months and all those meetings. And that's why we were back and forth. I don't know how many times a use was in, a use was out. And finally, after all that consideration with public input, this was what we felt was the best for that entire area.
Yeah, I think I recall at one point we had lumberyards still allowed downtown Derry, and everybody was kind of, I don't even know if it's still in there. I know we discussed it for years, and then it was like, well, what's else? You already have Benson's down there. Do you make that non-conforming, or do you worry about somebody buying 15 lots downtown and putting a Home Depot in there, right?
Right.
And I don't know where that is today, but I know similar.
Yes.
Right, that was discussed for years. It's like, okay, we can't be worrying about stuff that's not going to happen.
Right.
Correct.
Council Webb.
Just a couple quick questions. X4A comes off the highway, heads east through a good section of Londonderry, hits Madden Hill, and basically at the top of Madden Hill enters Derry.
Yes.
What's going on in the Londonderry section? Because I understand regional impacts have to be done.
They have 750,000 square feet of industrial occurring on Old Rum Trail, and their access will be off that exit.
Right.
So they'll be in and out will all be on Old Rum Trail. We took those uses. I don't know what the specific uses are in those buildings, but I know that it's manufacturing and industrial. So we took that into consideration when we were looking at like complementary type uses.
Thank you, and that's what I wanted to see, if there were complementary issues that were considered. Just the last thing is that on the fourth picture, it looks at, and I was at this particular meeting on April 30th,
Yes.
where the residents looked at how they wanted the different, particularly the neighborhood commercial to look,
Yes.
and basically voted. What were, I can't really tell, what were some of the things that did not get any votes?
Oh, as I'm looking at it, I had actually written that down somewhere. I know that auto was one of them. Oh, Lord, I can't read that. They didn't want, Yeah, so I know that on there we had like regular auto sales. We also had, I think I called it.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Oh, and you are the best. Form-based.
The wizard works his
Yeah,
magic.
so form-based auto sales, which you would take like a residence, like keep it looking like it is, and then, but have auto, they didn't want that. Strangely, they didn't want a neighborhood store, no box strip malls. And then there was one other thing closer to the bottom. They were on warehouse and definitely no storage facilities.
All right.
So, and the board was really good. Like the neighborhood came out and spoke. We were very interested in what people had to say. They live in that neighborhood. They should have a say.
And thank you for your.
You're welcome. Thanks, Owen.
Just remind everybody, the planning board, the gateway committees and all this stuff, they're made up of just regular private citizens here in Derry who donate their time to help this town. So I really appreciate the fact that they donate and volunteer their time to go through these hard decisions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Spencer, do you have anything?
No, I don't.
All right.
My
Any
questions
other
were
questions,
answered.
comments? All right, we'll move it up.
Onward and upward. I will now read the ordinance in for a vote. So ordinance number 2025-007, amend zoning ordinances, chapter 165. Whereas section 5.1 of the town charter designates the town council as the governing and legislative body of the town, and pursuant to section 6.1, the council shall legislate by ordinance. And whereas the planning board hosted several public engagement sessions to discuss potential amendments to the town's zoning ordinance specific to the Gateway District, and whereas the proposed changes are designed to best capitalize on the town's future development opportunities while balancing the character of the abutting neighborhood, and whereas these recommended changes would affect Article 2, Section 165.5, definition. Article 3, Section 165.28, wireless communication facilities. Article 5, Section 165.30, zoning map. Article 6, Section 165.32.3, general commercial 4, Section 165.32.4, West Running Brook District, Section 165.37, Neighborhood Commercial District, Section 135.39, Industrial 1, Section 165.40, Industrial 2, Section 165.42, Industrial 4, Article 20, Section 165.1012, Signs in Neighborhood Commercial District, and Section 165.43.1, Industrial 6, and whereas the planning board has voted to adopt these changes at their October 15, 2025 meeting, now therefore the town of Derry ordains as Derry zoning ordinance is hereby amended as follows. To amend Article 2, Section 165.5, definitions. Article 3, Section 165.28, wireless communication facility. Article 5, Section 165.30, zoning map. Article 6, Section 165.32.3, general commercial 4. Article 6, Section 165.32.4, West Running Brook District. Article 6, Section 135.37, Neighborhood Commercial District. Article 6, Section 165.39, Industrial 1. Article 6, Section 165.40, Industrial 2. Article 6, Section 165.42, Industrial 4. Article 20, Section 165.1012, Signs in Neighborhood Commercial District. And I want to make sure I did Article 6, 165.37, and I didn't say 135, so I apologize if I messed that up on the neighborhood commercial. And please delete Section 165.43.1, Industrial 6. This ordinance shall take effect 30 days after adoption, November 18, 2025.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. On the motion, Council Mills.
Absolutely, yes.
Council Webb.
Yes, and thank you.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
Council Chase.
Yes.
Council Mosaic.
Yes, and thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Council McEachern.
Sure. Yes.
Why not?
And the chair votes yes, and thank you and the planning board for all your hard work in this.
Thank you, council, for
appreciate
your
your time.
time and
Thank you.
consideration on this. Very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, moving along. 25-111, Resolution 2025-061, to apply for and accept funding through the U.S. Department of Justice Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program. Chief Fioli.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening,
I
Chief.
promise to be way more brief than that.
Well, somebody will call in.
Well, you haven't heard the questions yet.
This feels like vacation.
Okay. I appear this evening to seek authority to apply for and accept funding from the United States Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance for personal body armor under the Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program. We were recently notified by the Bureau of Justice Assistance that the federal fiscal year 25 application period had opened, and actually it closes on December 19th, coming up. For the award, we were eligible to receive an award through that program. Just as a point of interest, the Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program began in 1999, and we have been participating every year since. Based on our current history and current needs, we anticipate we will need 22 sets of body armor during the period of this grant, which expires August 31st, 2027. The government will award us up to $18,628.50. The total expense for the body armor that we need during this period is $37,257. So they'll provide, through this grant, up to 50% funding. Typically, these funds are budgeted for the expense and the revenue in our operational budget each year. Happy to answer any questions.
Open the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I move to open the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion to open the public hearing at the second. Council Mills.
Yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
Council Chase.
Yes.
Council Mouget.
Yes.
Council McEachern.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Public hearing is now open in this matter. If you wish to speak, come up and do so. State your name and address for the record.
And while this gentleman's coming, Mr. Owen, is there anybody online?
Seeing none rise at this time.
Thank you.
And just your name and address for the record, please.
David Provencher, 26 Miltymore Road. I just wanted to question, how much call for body armor is there in Derry? I don't think there's, I don't know.
Well, I have a difference of opinion.
Okay.
We issue that product to every one of our officers.
Okay, but like how often has it been used? How many of your officers
It's
have?
used every day. Every officer is required to wear it each day.
But has it ever has somebody ever been shot?
Not during my tenure, and hopefully never during my tenure.
Okay.
Ever.
That was just my question. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Jim Dietzel, 1100 Drive. We've been very fortunate in this community not to have any officers shot in the line of duty in recent memory. That doesn't mean it can't happen. We have had some officers involved in shootings where they have been the ones pulling the trigger. It could have just as easily gone the other way around. We need to do whatever the police chief recommends to keep his officers, our officers, safe in the line of duty. This is minimal cost, if any, to the taxpayers. The safety of our officers is paramount to keep us safe. Please allow this. If the chief recommends it, you can bet that it's a good idea. Thank you, Council.
Anybody else wish to speak?
Mr. Chairman, seeing no one online and no one rising, I will make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to close. On the motion, Council Mills.
Yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
Council Chase.
Yes.
Council Mouget.
Yes.
Council McEachern.
Yes.
And Chair votes yes. Motion passes. Public hearing is now closed in this matter. Questions from the council? Comments? Council Webb.
I always was surprised it's still referred to as bulletproof rather than bullet resistant. And I imagine they come with a plate carrier that is also effective against stabbings.
That is correct.
And that the vest itself provides a significant amount of protection for just physical blows and blunt object blows.
That is correct.
And police officers have been assaulted with those here in Derry, correct?
Happens all the time.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I would be pleased to make a resolution, number 2025-061, to authorize application for and expenditure of grant proceeds to fund the acquisition of protective vests for our police personnel. Whereas the town charter establishes the town council as the appropriating authority of the town, and in that, the expenditure of grant funds is authorized by way of appropriation, and whereas grant funding is available to law enforcement agencies through the U.S. Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program, under which the Derry Police Department is eligible, and whereas the periodic replacement of bulletproof vests is essential for the safety of police personnel and has been budgeted for FY 2026 budget, and now therefore be it resolved in council that the town administrator is hereby authorized to apply for grant funding in the amount of $18,628.50. That being the sum the Derry Police Department is eligible to receive, and further to accept the award of that sum and to expend such funds upon their receipt. Resolution takes effect immediately upon its passage.
Second that.
Okay, motion and second. On the motion, Counsel Chase.
Yes.
Counsel Mojay.
Yes.
Counsel McGuckin.
Yes.
Counsel Mills.
Yes.
I threw you off a little bit. Counsel Webb.
Yes.
Counsel Spencer.
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, counsel.
Threw everybody
I'm
off.
not sure it's way
Well,
cheap.
what did you think I was sleeping?
I had to keep
Went the
moving.
wrong way.
Something told me he was going to do
We're all
that.
a little shocked. We're all a little shocked there. He moved it around a little. Nope. Some of us caught it.
Oh, good.
All right, moving on to new business, 25-97. Resolution 2025-053 to authorize the acquisition of 2 easements associated with the Southern New Hampshire Regional Water Project. The Director of DPW, Mr. Carrier.
Good evening, councilors. We have presented before the council at public hearings on October 21st and November 4th a request for the council to authorize the town administrator to execute and acquire easement deeds associated with infrastructure improvements for the Southern New Hampshire Regional Water Project. 2 easements, a easement to construct a conduit to the new chemical feed facility, the town water tank, and a second easement, approximately 1.5 acres, actually within the town of Londonderry, to construct a new water booster station, which will have a new water feed connection coming into the town of Derry from Manchester Waterworks. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
I just wanted to see, I'm sorry, this is our 3rd public hearing for this. I wanted to see you read all this again. I was looking forward to it, but I guess I'll let you off on this one.
Any questions? Anyone want to move the question?
Rock and roll with the resolution?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, seeing no questions from the council, and seeing as we've seen this a million times before, and this is part of Tom's master plan for water and sewer, I'm going to read Resolution 2025-053 to authorize the acquisition of easements at 65 Route 28 Bypass in Derry and 58 Old Derry Road in Londonderry, whereas Section 5.1 of the Town Charter designates the Town Council as the governing and legislative body of the town, and as such is empowered to purchase real property for the benefit of the town and to appropriate funds for such purposes, whereas the Town Council previously authorized acceptance of a $7.33 million grant for Phase 2 of the Southern New Hampshire Regional Water Project, and whereas there's a need to purchase a 3,488 square foot permanent easement across map 8, lot 101, 65 Route 25 bypass for the purposes of power supply to the Shenito Road water tank, and whereas there is a need to purchase 1.5 acre permanent easement across map 16, lot 23O-58 Old Derry Road in Londonderry for the purposes of installing a new water booster station, and whereas sufficient funds are available in the ARPA funds granted to the town of Derry for this purpose, now therefore be it resolved in the council that the town administrator is hereby authorized to execute all necessary documents, take appropriate actions to purchase a 3,488 square foot permanent easement across map 8, lot 101, 65 Route 28 bypass, and 1.5 acre permanent easement across map 16, lot 23-0 at 58 Old Derry Road in Londonderry. Resolution takes effect immediately upon passage.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. On the motion, Counsel McGuckin.
Yes.
Counsel Mojay.
Yes.
Counsel Chase.
Yes.
Counsel Spencer.
Yes.
Counsel Webb.
Yes.
Counsel Mills.
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very
I'm
much.
waiting for Charlie to mess
Thank you,
up
Mr.
our
Gabbia.
names one time now, right? He's gonna screw himself up before we mess up. Contest is
Keep the brain
on.
going. 25-115, Resolution 2025-063, amend Resolution 2025-055 to remove a property from the not-to-execute list for tax deed. Tax Collector Stacy Billavo. Good evening.
Good evening.
Sorry for the long evening.
That's okay.
She had fun.
Okay, so we were here in October for an approval for a previous resolution not to execute tax deeds. However, as a result of ongoing discussion, please move forward to remove one property from the not to deed list. Not to move it from the waiver list.
Okay.
Okay. Questions?
Mr. Chairman, seeing no questions, I'm going to read Resolution 2025-063. To amend Resolution 2025-055, direct the tax collector not to execute certain tax deeds. Whereas Section 5.1 of the Derry Town Charter establishes the town council as the legislative and governing body of the town, and whereas RSA 80:76 sets forth the procedure for conveying tax deeded property to the town, and whereas pursuant to RSA 80:76(2) and 2A, the governing body may refuse to accept a deed on certain properties whenever in the judgment, acceptance, and ownership of these properties would subject the municipality to undesirable obligations or liability and risks. And whereas the town has identified properties eligible for tax deed, however, acceptance of ownership would not be in the town's best interest. And whereas the town council previously approved a not-to-execute list as part of Resolution 2025-055 on October 7th, 2025, and now therefore be a result that the town council seeks to amend Resolution 2025-055 to remove 39 Redfield Circle from the previously approved not-to-execute the tax deed list. This resolution shall take effect immediately and direct the tax collector to proceed with the tax deed process pursuant to RSA 80:76(3) for the subject property. The resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage.
Second.
Okay, on the motion, Council Mills.
Yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
Council Chase.
Yes.
Council Mouget.
Yes.
Council McGuckern.
Okay, it is my turn, yes.
And the chair votes yes. Motion carries 7. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor comments, liaison reports. Anybody?
I actually have one comment, if you don't mind, Mr.
right ahead.
Chairman. And unfortunately, Tina is not here, but I would like to express my thanks to Tina. She showed up at one of the recounts recently in Nashua, and Dan Healy, who obviously lives in Derry and is the town city clerk in Nashua. They did a great job at a recount, and I just want to thank Tina for going across state to help out with that. She did a great job.
Anyone else? No. Motion.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned.
Nay.